everyone, in today's tutorial we are going to be setting a teeny tiny gemstone into the bail of a pendant. So if you want to see how we do this, then stick around. Hi everyone, it's Leslie from Lolabelle, and in today's video you can see I've already got kind of a half-made pendant. What we're actually going to be trying to do here, or practicing today, is placing a tiny gemstone, teeny tiny gemstone. So I've got this very small zircon, can't even hold it, it's that small, teeny tiny zircon, which I'm going to be placing into the bail of this pendant. So you can see that I've already kind of started to weave the bail. So what I'm going to do is I've done 5 rows of weave up so far, and just as I've been going up, just pushing it down and smushing it so it all tries to sort of stay relatively in place. What I'm going to do is, now I've got to this point, is I'm going to grab these 2 central wires and I'm just going to bend them forwards, and then what I want these 4 remaining wires to continue tracking up at that same angle, so trying to keep that space between them the same. So I've just been doing a single weave on these, so just round one, round the other, and then because I've got this big gap in the middle, what I'm actually going to do is just go straight, jump across to the next wire, around, and then again just going around one, around each of these wires. So what I'm doing, what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to build like a cradle here in this space for the stone to actually sit on when I place it. So I'm just going to wrap up these a few more. And this isn't a typical wrap that I do that often, to be fair. This is one which I tend to just, every now and then, when I'm in the mood to do some more intricate weaving work, it's one that I pull out of the bag then. So I'm just going to keep wrapping up these wires. And then when I get to a high enough point, I will draw them, or draw the middle 2 that are now sitting here back through, which is where our stone will sit. So strap in, because this one does get a little bit fiddly, but again, it's one of these ones where the practice and the patience and the time that you take in learning and doing really do pay off, because it's a really nice little feature on some pendants, not all, but some. So because the stone is so small, you don't need to do too much of a weave, but it just helps to sort of hold everything in place. And then you're going to measure it against the stone in a second. So what I'll do is I'll just do one more. And as you can see, the wires are trying to sort of come back together, which is okay, because we can narrow them, because it's quite a wide bail. When you're doing sort of like a six wire bail, it is quite wide. So right, I'm just going to push it in there, smush, smush. Right, so if we grab our teeny tiny zircon, and then this is where I normally get frustrated, because I can't even hold the bloody thing. Right, so it's going to sit there. So what you can do is, you can see that I can do a couple more weaves before it gets back to where it needs to. So I'll do a few more, and then once we get to the next stage, we will look at how we actually hold it in place and secure it onto the pendant. And then it's just another sort of skill video really. So when I was learning wire wrapping, however many years ago that was, it was a long time ago, you know, all of the YouTube videos, which were great, helped, you know, they really helped me learn, but they all focused on make this one pendant or do this whole design, which wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted to learn how to do specific things that I could then create my own pendants. So part of the reason I've been doing these sort of skill videos is because of that, because you don't always want to sit and make the whole pendant. So you can pick and choose really what you're watching. And I just want to say a huge thank you at this moment to everyone who has subscribed recently. The channel is growing, which is fabulous. And all the comments and shares and likes and everything have been really great. So thank you ever so much. If you're not subscribed, feel free to drop down below the video and press on that bell icon. Get your notifications for when I upload. So I always upload on a Sunday evening. And obviously we are also now doing live making sessions on a Wednesday evening, which is great fun because anything can happen on a live. In this scenario I can obviously cut delete bits out of videos, in the live I can't. Okay, so what we've got now is we can see that the weave is going just above the stone, which is perfect. So I just want to separate these four out a little bit because these two are going to come back over. So what I can do, because this zircon has got a flat top, so you can see there it is dead flat. So what I'm actually going to do is, rather than, I would usually do something like this with a more domed stone, but because this one is flat, I'm actually going to use my flat nose pliers and shape these wires around them. I'm going to take them all the way around. Let me just zoom in so you can see a little bit better. And let me just turn on my spotlight. There we go. So these two wires, and you want to pull them all the way around. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smush these down a little bit more and tighten this in a little bit more. And then I'm going to bend it back up into line with these other four. So you can see now all 6 wires are back together. Focus camera. And we've got this little gap here. So when we come to put in the teeny tiny stone, which I can't even hold, we can slip it in underneath these two. So you might want to lift them a little bit whilst you're putting it in. I don't know why I picked this zircon, they're so tricky to hold. So we'll go for the cheap method and pop it in and then turn it around and then bring these back down. So you can see that the stone is now under, like so. Just make sure it's straight. And then I'm just going to hold that in place for a second. Let me just zoom back out. Where are we? Okay, so now because we've got more wires up here, it's all a little bit tighter. So just make a little bit of space. And we're just going to weave, carrying on that same pattern over the 6 wires. So it just sort of secures everything in place. so. And just keep flattening it down because we want the bail to now start to look a bit tidier. And then pushing that down. Yoink. Okay, so stone is there. Okay, so what we now want is a little bit of a space between these two wires. So we just space them out. And we can do this, I'm going to go with my smaller pliers. We can do this in a similar way to how we lock in the stone in the pendant. So just giving the wire a little bit of a kick. And then just, again, pushing it down. So stone is secure in there. So then what we're going to do is carry on weaving up this wire. So I will carry on this weave and then we'll come back when I'm done and finish decorating. Okay, so we've wrapped up the rest of the bail here. I've got probably, well, yeah, just about enough now to turn that into the bail. So what I'm going to do is just grab my bail making pliers and I'm just going to hold just above where the stone is. So you can see the stone is still sat here, and I'm just going to ease that over and bring it around. Oops, off camera again. Bring it round so it just sits at the back there. We've still got these two wires at the front. These are going to be some of our decorating wires. But then what I want to do is I'm just going to kick this a little bit out so I can squeeze it in. So then we get that nice seal. And then I'm going to just take this weaving wire around all of these wires, maybe 3 times, and then just do a couple of weaves along the back here so it just locks everything into place. So we're just going to go around and under each one, scooping that wire up and oops, trying to keep it all in order. This one and up, and this one up, and then on this last one I'm just going to do 3 wraps around this one so it just ties off the end of that wire and keeps it all nice and tidy. Just push that up and smush it in, and then I'm just going to bring that end around and tuck that in here so it's nice and tidy. So because I'm using a round wire for my weaving wire, I am working off of the spool, or I was, I just cut it off. So we can see we've got these 2 decorative wires, and then we've got these behind here which can now start to come back towards the front of the pendant. And this again just helps to lock the bail into place, so you've got no sharp edges here. And then obviously we've got lots of wire to play with decoratively. And you might decide that you just want to chop some of these off, which is absolutely fine. But they are there to play with, so we will play. And obviously what you do at this point is now entirely creatively up to you. I haven't quite decided yet, so I'm just going to space them out a bit. I'm just going to grab my nylon jaw pliers actually to straighten some of these up a bit because they are So yeah, it's entirely up to you really what you do creatively with your decorative wires. It is just a bit of fun and a bit of interpretation really in terms of what you want to do. So you might sort of decide that because you've got a gemstone at the front, you don't really want to do anything too dramatic, which would make complete sense as well. I think I'm going to do a two wire spiral. I'm just going to squish that one in a bit more. It doesn't stick out. I'm just going to leave it actually. I'm just going to do a bit of a spiral and then bring it round. And like I say, you know, what you do with your wire ends is part of the fun of of wire wrapping. Is you don't have to follow the designs, and it's what I was saying earlier, is you just want to learn how to maybe fit the stone into the bail, which is fine. You can do that on any pendant. You don't then need to follow the rest of the design. So we have already covered essentially the topic of the video, so you might have got what you came for, in which case thank you very much. Obviously if you want a little bit more guidance, I will try and offer that. So this is a fossil coral that I'm working with today, and it is a really pretty example of it. I just keep looking at it and thinking of daisies. The plan for this stone hadn't really been to have the bail stone, but you know. Okay, so I'm going to take another stone, I'm going to take that up, and I'm going to bring that around and just hoop it. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Just bring it around and hoop it, and then just draw it to the back. There are other ways of obviously connecting the stone into the bail, but this is just one example. So maybe we'll do another tutorial at some point using one of the other methods. But yeah, thought one of my dogs was going to come and join me then, but he's changed his mind. Okay, so I'm just going to connect this wire around. And obviously you could do this with any stone, it doesn't have to be a zircon. This is just something that I've had sat in my box for ages and I thought I would use it. Okay, so we've got some nice sort of spiral and swirl type sort of details going on at the front. I will oxidize this one, so, and then I think here I'm gonna carry this on slightly lower, so these are just going to come around. Now this is going to get bulky to one side, so I am going to have to connect some wires to the other side. We'll sort that out. We'll see what we can do with that in a minute. I'm just going to draw them under here. Connect it down. I think oxidizing this particular piece will not only highlight the weave that we've just done up on the bail, but I think it's going to highlight and pop the patterns of the actual stone. So it's just one that, for me, without question, is being oxidized. there. Right, so everything is secure on that side. So with these two, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to bring them together. I am going to come around this way, but then I'm actually just going to bring it into quite a tight swell that's then going to come up and around to the other side, and that just helps bring a little bit of relief to that side of the pendant where all the back wires are connecting to. So we'll just connect this one. So when you are connecting like a small teeny tiny gemstone into your bail, you want to make sure that it is secure, because obviously when you're doing this part of the pendant and you're flipping it front to back, and as you've seen me do a couple of times, you know, accidentally dropping the pendant, if it is not secure, it is going to continue falling out. And obviously every time you have to put it back in, it is fiddly, and you have to move wires and things around to obviously get into that space. So I always try and secure it as much as I can, as early as I can. So literally when I put it in there, that's when it's secured. Okay, so let's zoom in. There we go. That is attaching or setting a small gemstone into the bail. So if you've got any questions on how we've done this one, see, it does sit flat, so that's good. But if you've got any questions, then obviously pop them in the comments below. Any feedback, any other options of how you would normally connect your tiny gemstones into your bail, then I'd love to hear in the comments. And as I said earlier, if you haven't already subscribed, then please feel free to do so. Every Sunday I launch a new video, Sunday evening, and then every other Wednesday we do a live studio session where you can join in. So there we go. Thank you ever so much, everyone. Really nice to spend some time with you again, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye.